Give us a couple of things, Femi, that you find interesting about this top 25, and let's bandy it about.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff with the top 25 in the preseason. Everyone wants to get rid of the preseason polls. Like, oh, we hate this stuff like that. They actually are pretty predictive as to who can win the national title. Like, if you go back in the CFP era, we've had 11 national champions since we went to a 14 playoff. Now we have the 12-team playoff. This will be year 2 of that. But 10 of the last 11 national champions have been in the top 5 of the AP poll. And the team that wasn't in the top 5 was 6th. That was the 2019 LSU team. So we're just outside the top 5. So, like, all in all, college football media, everyone who votes on this stuff does a pretty damn good job of predicting who can win the national title, or at least like the teams that you need to be thinking of. And Nick read off the top 5 there. I think it makes a whole lot of sense, and I think a lot of bettors' minds, because like those are the teams that everyone's been talking about. You hear a little bit of Alabama, you hear a little bit of like Notre Dame or whatever here and there, but like for the most part, we're talking about Ohio State, Penn State, and Texas, and maybe a little Clemson or Georgia if you want to.
I think we may have lost Femi's internet for a second here. Femi will get back connected. So Femi, we lost you for a second. I heard Femi. I heard Femi there. I think you just logged back in. Okay, Femi is back. Femi, please continue. We lost you about halfway through there.
Yeah, so essentially what I was saying there before, I was rudely interrupted once again by my internet. Yeah, like the top 5 is where you're going to probably get your national champion. Maybe if they're outside the top 5, probably 6, 7, or 8. But like that's the group of teams that you want to be thinking about. On this show, a couple weeks ago, I talked about Penn State. Doesn't make me proud to say this, but I think Penn State can actually get it done this year in college football at 7-1. That's the price that I like. But another cool aspect of it, like national champion aside, this I think is the most fun part. And Brett McMurphy of On3, who we have on the show, friend of the show here, he always tweets this every year, and it's always a fun exercise to do. But it's for the past 22 seasons, there's been at least one team in the preseason AP top 10 that finished the year unranked. So think about those top 10 teams: Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, Miami. If that trend is upheld, one of those teams is going to have a disaster season and be outside the top 10. I have my team, Nick. I'm curious to see what your team is. But it's always a kind of fun exercise of like who's being hyped right now that at the end of the season come November, December, where it's like, what happened there? They went 7-5 or 6-6. I think it's LSU. Like that's the team that I think it is. I'm not there with Brian Kelly. I think the experiment in Baton Rouge has not worked out. Garrett Nussmeier, I'm a big fan of, but the defense has big question marks. Like every year, it's like, can they get the ball rolling? What's going to happen? Like, is this the year for Brian Kelly? No, I don't buy it. I think LSU is going to be the team that's on the outside looking in and maybe has the disaster season this year. I'm curious to see what you think of these top 10 teams that might be on the outside looking in once we get to late November.
You bet on this Monday. I've got what I think might be. I've got a hot take here. Give it to me. It's sizzling.
Like a fajita.
Tyler loves sizzling fajitas. Let's cue up. The guy from Smash Mouth died, right? Rest in peace. It's like, we might as well be walking on the sun. Underrated. So everyone talks about All-Star. Walking on the Sun was their first hit. This is a absolute scorcher of a take, and one that may make me look really, really, really stupid. And I've asked this question before. Is there a chance that Michael Penix Jr. made everyone at Washington look way better than they actually are? Ooh. And I understand that Kalen DeBoer was an ATS monster prior to getting to Washington. I understand. But last year, DeBoer has not the worst year at Alabama, but it's Alabama. Ryan Grubb, a.k.a. Ryan Scrub, washes out of Seattle with one of the worst play calling years in the history of the NFL. Like, if he were in Chicago instead of Shane Waldron, we talk about him like they talk about Shane Waldron. The fact that he's in Seattle, I think, saves him a little bit. So he's out of the NFL. Now he's back at Bama with his buddy Kalen DeBoer. Roma Dunze has an underwhelming rookie year. Jalen Polk can't even get on the field for the Patriots, might not even make the team in year 2. And Jalen McMillan, to his credit, is pretty good. Jalen McMillan was pretty good last year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is there a chance that Michael Penix Jr. just propped up the entire operation in Washington? I'll take Alabama, Femi, as my team to fall out of the top 10 here and maybe have a substandard season this year.
I love it. I disagree, but I love how spicy it is. Bama, so right now I'm looking at their to miss the playoff price. Plus 150, so it's not like a massive price or anything like that. Under 9.5, which would definitely
I'm betting
cash.
That. I'm betting the Bama to miss the playoff.
under 9.5 plus 105. You can bet both. But like to miss the playoff, I mean, they can go 9 and I mean, like they're essentially the same thing, but you're getting the better price on the miss the CFP. Because if they go 9-3 or worse, they're not going to make it. At least they didn't make it last year when they went 9-3. So yeah, plus 150 on Bama to miss the playoffs. I just think that DeBoer, it was just like a transition year. I don't think Jalen Milroe is like his kind of quarterback with Ty Simpson there. You know, you could be right. Simpson could be bad, but also Simpson can maybe be the next Heisman Trophy winner. Like, I think there's a lot that's on the table with this Alabama team. So I'm picking up what you're putting down, as I like to say, but I'm not there because I think DeBoer's just too good of a coach. I still have faith in that DeBoer Ryan Grubb relationship. I just think they need each other. If they're separate, then it's going to go poorly. So yeah, is there a team that you think that's outside? Because like this is another fun trend that's out there because there's a lot of trends with the AP Top 25. I have a couple teams for this one, but I'll give you some time to think about one. There's in 29 of the last 31 seasons, there's been at least one unranked team to finish in the top 10 by the end of the season. So like almost like it's the inverse of it. So like who's the team that's underrated right now, being overlooked, that's going to end up in the top 10 at the end of the year? Like there's two teams, both of them with win totals of 7.5 that I like, both in the Big Ten. One of them, it's probably a little bit of a homer pick, but I do think there's actually a pathway for this to happen. It's the Washington Huskies. We've had other guests come on as well, talk about Washington and Damon Williams, their quarterback, played really well in the bowl game that they lost. But like, I think that if he is what they say he is out of Seattle, Jed Fish, who's a really good coach, got Arizona to 10 wins, and Arizona's no football hotbed as a program. Like Rob Gronkowski is like the only great Arizona Wildcat I can think of from like the last like 15 years. You know, you want to go back to Teddy Bruschi in those days in the 90s, but like Arizona as a football program is not very good. He won 10 games with that program. Like Jed Fish is a really, really good head coach. Win totals at 7.5. Washington to make the college football playoff, plus 950 right now to make the CFP. Like if they're going to be in the top 10, we're talking about a CFP team. I think I'll have something on Washington. I'll have something on another team as well, but I want you to kind of give me another team before we get to that. I don't want to steal the team that you might be thinking of.
Well, I'll give you a team that kind of falls under the Washington umbrella, like formerly of the Pac-12, now in the Big Ten. I know everyone hates Lincoln Riley now. What about USC? Like the Rock's nephew, obviously, Jaden Maivia, the people's quarterback. But the real reason that I'm excited about USC because I think Lincoln Riley is going to be able to coach an offense in college football. That's going to be able to put up points. 100%. D'Anton Lynn has like very quietly under the radar been a tremendous defensive coordinator, and if USC's defense can take like a step forward here, I think USC is going to be a big time surprise team this year. They're not currently in the top 25. I think they're absolutely going to be ranked, probably sooner rather than later. I like the Trojans more than a lot of people do. And another one that I'd say, just because Brett McMurphy talked about them last week when we had him on, I think he said that this team could either like win 3 games or make the college football playoff. What about Auburn?
Ooh, I mean, I don't think the SEC. It's so tough, man. I feel like there's a reason why, like you said USC and I said Washington. It's because it's the Big Ten. Because outside of like the top heaviness of it, of like Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, there's a lot of room to really like kind of run some wins off, as we saw Indiana do last year, and even Illinois to a lesser extent. I can't do it in the SEC. I think the SEC is pretty clear of like Texas, Georgia. I mean, you think Bama's going to be bad, so maybe Auburn can take their place as a top tier team. But Ole Miss is also there.
Alabama's going to be bad. I don't know if Bama's going to be bad. I just think maybe they're going to fall short of expectation.
I mean, you kind of have to be the outside the top 25 if you're Bama, right? Going to be at least 4 losses, probably talking about 5 losses. Like,
well, I mean, I said I don't think they're going to make the playoff. I don't know if they're not going to be ranked. I just don't think they're going to make the playoff.
Yeah. Okay, then that's obviously a different conversation there. But yeah, plus 150, I like that for Bama to miss the playoffs. But I think the SEC is a little bit too tough and too deep to come from like nobody talking about you to all of a sudden be a top 10 team, unless you have like a generational player on the team, which I don't think Auburn has this year. So I would probably pass on the Auburn Tigers of being that team. But I mean, hey, if there's a bunch of variants to that team, maybe they can actually pull that off. I know a team that PJ's talked about, and I looked at them as well earlier today. And it just makes sense just given the fact that what he's done at previous destinations in year 3 in particular, but that's like Nebraska with Matt Rule. I like the Washington bet a little bit more because it's plus 950. Nebraska's plus 600 to make the CFP. But I mean, his 3rd year at Temple, they were really, really good with like Hassan Reddick and that squad. His 3rd year at Baylor, they were really, really good. And now this is his 3rd year at Nebraska. They started to show signs last year, especially late in the year. Dylan Raiola, like the Mahomes light, diet Mahomes, whatever you want to call him. He's actually been like pretty solid. If he takes another step forward in a weaker conference outside of the top half of it or the top 3 teams, maybe Nebraska can be that team. But at price, though, I prefer the Washington one just because you're almost getting 10-1 as opposed to just 6-1 with Nebraska, where I think a lot of people are starting to kind of catch on to the Cornhuskers being a potential team that's like not what we're thinking about that maybe makes a run at the CFP.